The devastation Ayo unleashed upon Agbede lingers like a dark cloud over the village. Homes are reduced to ashes, and lives, innocent and undeserving, are lost in the wreckage of his unchecked fury. Villagers, once vibrant with hope, now move with heavy steps, their voices low and edged with grief. Fear weaves through the crowd, but anger burns brighter, a collective outrage toward Ayo, whose violent outburst has scarred their lives and homes. Oblivious to the true gravity of his actions, Ayo believes he has vanquished an old enemy. But as he revels in his so-called victory, he remains unaware that he has attacked the wrong Mrs. Okafor, an error that would haunt him if he knew. Meanwhile, Agbede's true Mrs. Okafor, the wealthy woman who turned him away in childhood, hears of the destruction and realizes, with a sickening clarity, that she might have been his intended target. In the glittering heart of New York City, Akin and his family live a life draped in luxury, their fortunes from oil and diamonds propelling them into the upper echelons of high society. Their world is one of opulent penthouses, designer wardrobes, and exclusive invitations to the most sought-after gatherings. Akin hosts grand soirees in their Manhattan residence, extravagant affairs filled with politicians, celebrities, and business moguls, where champagne flows and conversations are gilded with the language of wealth and power. The walls shimmer with rare art, and the night is filled with music, laughter, and the quiet hum of a life that seems untouchable by the shadows they left behind in Agbara. Amira, swept up in the intoxicating world of affluence, transforms into an it girl almost overnight. Photographed at every high-profile event, she becomes a fixture on the social scene, her style and charm winning her a steady following. She glides through charity galas and rooftop gatherings, laughing with socialites, her presence capturing the envy of the city's elite. Glamorous magazine features tout her as a rising star, and her Instagram following explodes, each post capturing her flawless beauty against a backdrop of luxury. Tayo, meanwhile, finds himself drawn into the allure of wealthy friendships, surrounded by heirs, trust fund millionaires, and thrill-seekers who share his taste for life's indulgences. Late nights in dimly lit lounges, high-stakes poker games, and decadent after-parties become his new normal. The glow of neon lights and the buzz of laughter blur with each passing night as Tayo, increasingly reliant on substances to keep pace, revels in a lifestyle that drowns out his doubts and fears. To an outsider, the family seems to be living a dream, every room they enter, every stage they grace, filled with admiration and desire. Yet, for Amina, this glittering facade is hollow. In quiet moments, when the music fades and the guests disperse, her mind drifts back to Agbara. She feels a gnawing guilt, a persistent weight, as visions of Ayo and scenes of devastation haunt her dreams. Each lavish party only intensifies the contrast between their lives and the son they left behind. Finally, her suspicions about Bobo's influence and the memories of their fractured family push her to a breaking point. She convinces Akin that it's time to return to Agbara, to confront the past they abandoned, and to check on the son they left behind. Back in Agbara, Ayo's grasp on reality slips further. The whispers of the villagers surround him, laced with accusations of cruelty and tales of his latest assault on Agbede. These murmurs feed his paranoia, drawing him closer to Baba, who stokes his fears, insisting that softness is a liability, a door for enemies to slip through. Baba's influence grows, his presence twisting Ayo's thoughts and hardening his heart. He warns Ayo that even family could betray him, that compassion is a poison, and that only vigilance and power will secure his place. Ayo clings to these words, unable to separate loyalty from manipulation, and increasingly isolated from everyone around him. In the shadow of Ayo's tyranny, a new hope quietly stirs, Emeka, a man whose bravery and dedication have captured the hearts of the people. Known as the hero who saved Agbede from the mutant cockroaches unleashed by Ayo, Emeka's reputation grows stronger with each passing day. The villagers whisper his name with admiration and relief, seeing him not just as a protector but as a leader untainted by the greed and cruelty that have plagued the village under Ayo's influence. Emeka moves with a quiet resilience, a strength born from the hardships he's endured and the compassion he feels for the people of Agbede. Determined to shield his community from future threats, Emeka tirelessly collaborates with local police, scientists, and intelligence officers to uncover the source of the infestation. He leads investigations into the dark corners of Agbede, determined to understand the unnatural mutations that have wreaked havoc on his home. Late nights find him poring over reports with scientists, strategizing with intelligence teams, and setting up protective measures with the local authorities. Emeka's hands-on approach, his willingness to work alongside the people, inspires a quiet reverence among the villagers, who see in him a man willing to fight for their safety without asking for anything in return. As stories of Ayo's attack spread, the trauma of that day remains etched in the hearts of the people. Fear permeates every corner of Agbede and Agbara, but with Emeka's presence, they begin to sense the possibility of a future without Ayo's shadow looming over them. Villagers who once hid in silence now come to Emeka, some offering information, others seeking guidance. They bring him their hopes, their trust, and a desperate need for protection, convinced that Emeka might finally be the one to free them from Ayo's tyranny. With his quiet dignity and his fierce loyalty to the people, Emeka becomes their symbol of strength, a beacon of resistance against Ayo's oppressive reign. Even as Emeka's influence grows, he remains humble, unwilling to pursue power for its own sake. He cares deeply for Agbede and its people, seeing them not as subjects to be ruled but as lives worth protecting. This respect for his community only strengthens his bond with the villagers, who see in Emeka a leader who could restore what they have lost and guide them toward peace. As Emeka works to rebuild trust and restore stability in Agbede, whispers of his potential rise reach Ayo's ears, sparking fear and resentment in the paranoid leader. Meanwhile, Queen Suwa, who is all too aware of Ayo's dangerous obsession with her, meets him in secret, hoping to manage his erratic behavior while protecting her own family. But these clandestine meetings only fuel Ayo's delusions. He begins to refer to Suwa as "my queen," captivated by her loyalty to her children, a quality he sorely missed in his own mother. In his mind, Suwa becomes a figure of salvation and respect, the only ally he believes he can trust. But this forbidden relationship may have consequences. After years of living in glittering comfort and excess, Akin and Amina step back into Agbara, a place both familiar and foreign. They arrive in the style of the celebrity rich and famous, with the continued opulence that they are now accustomed to in the USA. The chandeliers and grand penthouses, and even a private zoo housing the rarest animals in Africa. Their return is anything but triumphant. Instead of warmth or welcome, they are met with suspicion and hostility, whispers trail them, an undercurrent of disapproval that wraps around them like a cold wind. The villagers watch from doorways and shaded porches, some turning away, others with narrowed eyes. Tension simmers in every glance, resentment thickening the air. As they make their way through the village, Amina feels the weight of her guilt pressing down, a hollow ache growing in her chest. She can feel the judgment from the villagers, the quiet condemnation of a mother who left her son behind. The wealth and luxury they enjoyed abroad now seem hollow, reminders of the life they built at the cost of their son. Akin remains stoic beside her, his face expressionless, but his hand tightens around hers, a silent acknowledgement of the unease settling over them. Finally, they reach the family home where Ayo awaits. The room is tense and charged, the air thick with years of unspoken hurt and anger. Ayo stands before them, his gaze dark and unwavering. His face is hard, lines of bitterness etched deep around his mouth. The rumors surrounding the wrong Mrs. Okafor have only fueled his anger, and his feelings of abandonment roared to life, raw and untamed. Ayo launched into an immediate attack without even a greeting. "You chose wealth over your own blood," he started, his voice trembling with rage. "All the diamonds, the luxury, was it worth it, mother? Was it worth losing your son?" His gaze shifts to Akin, his expression hardening further. "And you, father," he says, spitting the word out like a curse, "was your money worth more than my life?" Akin's face remains stern, but a flicker of guilt crosses his eyes. He steps forward, his voice calm but steady, unwilling to yield to Ayo's fury. "We did what we thought was best, Ayo. We built a life, a future. But not a day went by that we didn't think of you. Think of me. Don't make me laugh." Ayo laughs bitterly. The confrontation escalates, raw and unrestrained. Amina, desperate to bridge the chasm between them, steps closer to Ayo, her voice trembling. "Please, Ayo," she pleads, her eyes brimming with tears. Her voice cracks as she says, "I know we failed you, Ayo, and I'm sorry. I will never forgive myself for what we've done. But you don't have to be alone. Let us help you, please." Ayo's face hardens, his voice icy. "Help me? You think I need you now? Baba was the only one here for me, the only one who taught me to survive. Where were you when I needed protection, when I needed a mother? Baba was there while you abandoned me." Amina's gaze shifts, a flicker of fear in her eyes as she senses Baba's dark influence on him. Her voice grows quiet but resolute. "Ayo, Baba's hold on you, it's not what you think. He's twisted things, he's twisted you, turned you against your own family. I fear he's using you, just like he used me." Ayo's face contorts with anger, and he takes a step back. "You're the one who abandoned me," he retorts bitterly. "Not Baba. He warned me that you would try to poison my mind against him. I was a fool to think you would care." Akin, unable to bear the weight of the silence, speaks up. His voice is firm but carries a note of vulnerability, one rarely seen in a man accustomed to power. "Ayo, we can never undo the past. But we're here now, willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. You don't have to carry this pain alone." His gaze burns into Akin and Amina, his final words cutting deep. "You're not my family. Not anymore. The wealth and success they enjoyed in America feel meaningless now, a hollow achievement against the empty void left by their estranged son." Ayo's bitterness fills the space between them, an insurmountable chasm forged by years of hurt, misunderstanding, and betrayal. As they stand there, the family broken and vulnerable, a realization dawns on Amina: Baba's grip on Ayo is stronger than she had feared. Determined to understand the darkness consuming her son, Amina turns her attention to Baba, her suspicions deepening with each day. As she delves into Ayo's connection with her father, memories of her own mother's mysterious disappearance resurface, realizing that his manipulation has warped her son far more profoundly than she had feared. Meanwhile, Suwa struggles with her secret meetings with Ayo, who grows bolder in his obsession, addressing her openly as "my queen" and believing she is his only true ally. She finds herself reluctantly drawn into his schemes, hoping she can curb his impulses, even as her husband Bayo becomes suspicious of her divided loyalties. Bayo, torn between loyalty to Ayo and his duty to protect the village, decides to ally himself with Emeka, hoping they can bring stability and peace to Agbara and Agbede. Suwa, the queen of Agbara, walks a perilous path, balancing her loyalty to Ayo with the needs of her people. She carries the weight of her secret meetings with him, aware that each encounter pulls her deeper into a world clouded by his growing obsession. In his eyes, she is a queen not only by title but by devotion, a woman who, unlike his own mother, has never abandoned her children. His admiration grows into something more consuming with every meeting, and he openly calls her "my queen," a title he bestows upon her with a reverence that borders on delusion. Suwa remains torn, driven by a desperate hope that she can curb his reckless impulses and keep him from spiraling further. She is one of the few who understands the darkness that surrounds Ayo, yet she fears her efforts may be futile. Each time they meet, his behavior becomes more erratic, his words less stable. The admiration in his eyes has taken on an unnerving intensity, a possessiveness that sends a chill down her spine. Suwa knows she treads dangerous ground, but her queenly duty to protect her people keeps her returning, hoping that perhaps she can save both Ayo and Agbara. Meanwhile, her husband, Bayo, grows increasingly suspicious. He senses a shift in her, a distant look that lingers too long, an edge of tension she carries home after her meetings. His loyalty to Ayo has always been strong, but he is also bound to his people, to protect Agbara from the chaos that Ayo threatens to unleash. Bayo's growing unease drives him toward Emeka, the hero rising as a beacon of hope for Agbara. In Emeka, Bayo sees a chance to bring balance, to work with someone who can challenge Ayo's erratic rule and protect their village from his descent into madness. But as Suwa tries to keep Ayo's obsession under control, a shocking revelation comes to light. During one of their meetings, in the quiet shadows away from the eyes of the village, Ayo leans in closer than usual, his gaze intense and his voice low. "A queen like you deserves more than a throne shared with another," he murmurs, a glint of twisted admiration in his eyes. What if I told you that Bayo wasn't loyal to you? That he was planning to betray you, to align himself with Emeka and seize control from both of us? Suwa stiffens, her heart pounding at Ayo's insinuation. The implication is absurd, but Ayo's next words send a shiver through her. I have proof, he says, producing a small, sealed letter. Intercepted from Bayo, addressed to Emeka. It speaks of plans for Agbara and Agbede to merge, of an alliance between the two of them, and a future without us. His eyes search hers, hungry for her reaction. Suwa takes the letter with trembling hands, her heart torn between loyalty and suspicion. Ayo's words, manipulative as they may be, strike a nerve. She knows the unrest that has settled over her husband in recent weeks, his late-night disappearances, the guarded conversations. Though she resists, doubts creep in, and her trust in Bayo wavers. She opens the letter, her eyes scanning the words, each one twisting her heart with betrayal. The letter, written in Bayo's familiar handwriting, is an encrypted plan outlining a vision for Agbara's future. It speaks of alliances, of Emeka's influence, and of a new era that would leave Ayo, and by extension, Suwa, isolated. Whether real or planted by Ayo, the letter sows seeds of doubt that she cannot shake. Feeling betrayed by her husband, Suwa finds herself unexpectedly drawn closer to Ayo. Her desire to protect her family and village becomes tangled with her sense of pride and power. The queen within her, who has fought to hold her position and her dignity, finds a dangerous solace in Ayo's admiration. For the first time, she considers an alliance with him, envisioning a path where she could stand as queen in her own right, unchallenged by Emeka, and untouched by Bayo's perceived betrayal. Yet, deep down, Suwa knows Ayo's instability and his delusional nature. The power struggle that grips Agbara is now dangerously close to her own doorstep, and her mind races with conflicting loyalties. She stands at a treacherous crossroads, uncertain of who truly has her best interest at heart, her husband, the rising hero Emeka, or the man who calls her my queen, but who may be using her for his own sinister ends. Suwa, caught in a web of intrigue, betrayal, and power. With Ayo at her side, she feels her strength amplified, but the risks have never been higher. She is trapped between her duty as queen, her loyalty to her people, and her fractured trust in Bayo. Each decision she makes now could tip the scales, threatening not only her own life but the stability of Agbara itself. In the heart of New York's high society, Tayo's life appears perfect on the surface. As a celebrated plastic surgeon with a sterling reputation and the owner of an influential hospital group, he is hailed as one of the brightest stars in the city's elite medical circles. His talents are revered, his clientele includes some of the wealthiest figures on the East Coast, and his hospital group has grown into a powerhouse of modern medicine. But beneath the success and glamour lies a man unraveling, his life spiraling in ways that only those closest to him can see. Kola, Tayo's twin brother, arrives in the United States on a family business trip, intending to update Tayo on the situation back in Agbara. The brothers are close, bonded by their shared history and mutual ambition. For years, they had been inseparable, supporting each other through the highs and lows of their family's complex legacy. Kola has always admired Tayo, the high flyer with an unwavering drive, a brother who once seemed unstoppable. But as he steps into Tayo's New York penthouse, Kola notices the cracks that wealth and success have hidden all too well. Tayo's once pristine appearance now bears the signs of a man fighting inner demons, bloodshot eyes, nervous energy, and a restless edge that Kola has never seen before. The once meticulous surgeon, known for his steady hands and immaculate reputation, now struggles to keep up with his relentless schedule. His prestigious hospital group, a crown jewel in his career, is quietly suffering as he misses meetings, cancels procedures, and leaves patients waiting, all in pursuit of an escape he finds at the bottom of a pill bottle. The twins' bond, once a foundation of support, has taken on a new strain. Kola senses the vulnerability lurking beneath Tayo's cool exterior, the desperation in his eyes, and the subtle but unmistakable signs of addiction. Although Kola had come on holiday, expecting light-hearted reunions and family updates, he quickly realizes that his brother's life is slipping away behind the closed doors of his penthouse. Seizing the opportunity, Kola begins to take subtle control of Tayo's business dealings, a protective act he convinces himself is for the good of the family. At first, Teo welcomes Kola's support, appreciating the reprieve from his relentless responsibilities. But Kola's involvement gradually becomes an enabler, facilitating Teo's descent even further. Kola covers for him in meetings, makes decisions on his behalf, and arranges for Teo's more indulgent needs to be discreetly met. As the days pass, Kola becomes Teo's closest confidant in his darkest hours, but his support also allows Teo to evade accountability, and soon Kola's presence begins to exert a quiet influence over Teo's hospital group and investments. For Teo's wife, Amira, the toll of her husband's struggles weighs heavily. Pregnant and fearful of the family's turbulent legacy, she sees her husband slipping away, becoming a shadow of the man she fell in love with. As Teo drifts further, his once close bond with Kola becomes something darker, and Amira finds herself increasingly isolated, caught between the family dynamics and her own need to protect her unborn child. Unable to bear the weight of her fears alone, she reaches out to her mother, Amina, seeking guidance and support. Amina listens, her heart heavy with regret and empathy. She understands better than anyone the cost of silence and secrets in their family. Her voice is steady, though her own guilt lingers beneath each word. Keep the child, Amira, she advises firmly, her tone gentle yet resolute. Our family has carried too many shadows, too many regrets. But perhaps this child, your child, can be the one to bring light. Do not let the past define your future. You have the chance to break this cycle. Amira clings to Amina's words, finding strength in her mother's advice. She begins to see her pregnancy not as a curse but as a glimmer of hope, a possibility of healing what generations before them could not. And yet, the reality of Teo's descent remains a constant, unsettling weight. She can sense Kola's hold on him strengthening, his influence now not only that of a supportive brother but of a confidant who quietly tightens his grip on Teo's life. She worries that Teo's trust in Kola has shifted into something almost dangerous, a dependency that prevents him from facing his own pain and accountability. The lavish social scene that was once a source of pride for them now feels hollow to Amira, a stage where their family's carefully curated image hides an unraveling truth. Each night, she watches as Teo falls deeper into the darkness, his brilliance dulled by the very life he once strived in. High society parties, exclusive charity galas, and five-star gatherings now feel like a trap, a gilded cage where secrets thrive under polished smiles and designer suits. Determined to protect her unborn child from the same fate, Amira silently vows to shield her baby from the curse that seems to haunt their family. She knows that breaking free from this legacy will not be easy, especially with Kola's hold on Teo tightening each day. But she clings to the hope Amina has given her, a belief that her child might be the key to forging a new path, one untethered from the shadows of their past. Amira's resolve strengthens, even as Teo's spiral deepens. She holds onto the vision of a future beyond the whispers of wealth and ruin, a future where her child can grow free from the pain that has scarred the generations before. And while Teo's descent and Kola's quiet influence may threaten to pull her husband further into darkness, Amira stands ready to fight for the light. Late one night, Eo stirs from sleep, his senses pricked by a faint, broken voice from across the hall. Baba, now weakened and frail, has been sleeping in and out of feverish sleep, his once powerful frame now gaunt and trembling. Tonight, his murmuring drifts through the silence, fractured phrases spilling into the dark. The ritual, her death. Amina's mother, my mistake. Eo freezes, every word sinking like a stone in his chest. Half-formed memories flood back, images from that distant night, the shadowy ceremony, Boba's hand guiding his own, a sudden, chilling silence. The details had always been hazy, a memory he tried to push away, yet now, in this fragile moment, the awful truth clicks into place. Had he unknowingly played a part in his grandmother's death? The realization grips him, his stomach churning with horror. Boba, the man he had trusted completely, had ensnared him in a blood-stained secret. As Eo reels, his trust in Boba crumbles, leaving him feeling betrayed and untethered. In the darkness, Eo hears Boba mutter, a haunting phrase, it wasn't meant for her. Eo was the true heir. A chill runs through him as a new, twisted question emerges. If the ritual was intended for him, then who or what was Boba truly protecting? Haunted by the echoes of Boba's sleep-talking, Ayo is unable to shake the horrific realization that he may have played a part in his grandmother's death. The thought gnaws at him, filling him with a mix of rage and desperation. One evening, with determination hardening his face, Ayo confronts Baba, his voice trembling as he demands the truth behind the ritual gone wrong. Baba, looking frail and worn but clutching tightly to his authority, meets Ayo's questions with steely eyes. "It was a sacrifice, Ayo," he says, his tone laced with insistence. "A necessary act to protect our legacy. Without it, we'd be nothing." He deflects further questions, casting blame on Akin, twisting the truth to keep his grip on Ayo's loyalty. But each word chips away at Ayo's trust, his mind teetering on the edge of disbelief and betrayal. He sees now how deeply Baba's manipulations run, how his loyalty has been taken for granted, weaponized against him. As Baba's defenses weaken, so too does the last thread of Ayo's devotion, leaving him spiraling, desperate for answers in a world that feels like it's crumbling around him. Back in Agbara, Akin and Amina begin to unravel the dark layers of their family's past. Driven by fragments of memory and an unshakable sense of dread, Amina finds herself piecing together the remnants of the ritual that claimed her mother's life. She uncovers cryptic symbols carved into hidden corners, faded journal entries with ominous notes, and unsettling details that suggest her mother's final days were steeped in mystery. Each discovery deepens her horror as she realizes the true depth of Baba's manipulation over Ayo and the corrupt origins of the family's wealth. Unable to contain her anger any longer, Amina confronts Baba. Her voice is steady, sharpened with resolve as she demands answers. Baba, frail yet stubborn, meets her gaze with a defiant smirk, his eyes still fierce. "This fortune," he hisses, "is tied to sacrifice, shadows, and secrets. Unravel them, and you'll destroy everything we've built." But Amina remains undeterred, her mother's memory fueling her determination. "Your curse ends with me," she declares, her voice unwavering. She vows to break their family's ties to darkness, determined to free them from Baba's influence, no matter the cost. As she turns to leave, Baba lets out a wheezing laugh, his voice barely a whisper. "You think it's that simple," he sneers, his eyes narrowing. "There are things you don't yet know, Amina. There are others tied to this legacy, others who won't let go so easily. Are you truly ready to face what you might find?" Amina pauses, a chill running down her spine as she realizes Baba's warning may hold truth. She leaves, but the weight of his words lingers, foreshadowing threats yet to be uncovered and a past darker than she had ever imagined. In Agbara, King Bayo and Emeka's alliance gains momentum, fueled by their shared commitment to shield the community from Ayo's oppressive rule. As king, Bayo feels the strain of Ayo's volatile presence in every decision, with each outburst pushing Agbara closer to ruin. Emeka, with his unwavering dedication to the people and natural charisma, has become a beacon of hope. Quietly, Bayo places his trust in him, seeing Emeka's genuine devotion to the community as a foundation for a stronger future. In a bold step toward unity, Bayo and Emeka establish Agbodo, a new kingdom that rises from the ashes of Agbede and Agbara. This wealthy, prosperous town, modeled with the development of a city like Dubai, symbolizes resilience and wealth untethered from Ayo's influence. Under Emeka's guidance, the people of Agbodo embrace a spirit of justice and loyalty, inspired by his vision of a future built on fairness and progress. Sparkling skyscrapers and opulent markets, along with schools and hospitals, create a vision of prosperity that draws people from far and wide. Meanwhile, Ayo, feeling his influence slip away, becomes increasingly desperate. Convinced that Suwa alone understands him, he clings to her support. But Suwa, sensing the danger in Ayo's obsession, starts to distance herself to protect her family. Ayo, blind to her detachment and the growing resistance around him, spirals deeper into isolation, vulnerable and increasingly at the mercy of his own paranoia. As the villagers gather under Bayo and Emeka's leadership, the air fills with hope and anticipation for Agbodo's bright future. Bayo, emboldened by the villagers' loyalty to Emeka, formally declares Agbodo a united kingdom of peace, free from Ayo's tyranny. The crowd erupts in cheers, the spirit of a new beginning palpable. For the first time, they envision a future unburdened by fear, a kingdom where prosperity is shared and not hoarded. Just as the celebration reaches its peak, an unexpected figure steps forward from the shadows. One of Boba's old confidants, a man weathered by years but carrying a dark knowledge, approaches Bayo and Emeka. With a grim expression, he delivers an ominous message: "You think you're free, but this kingdom is still bound to shadows. Agbodo's foundation is tied to secrets, the darkness that lies beneath. Are you ready to face what truly holds this kingdom together?" As his words linger in the air, the atmosphere shifts. Villagers exchange worried glances, the excitement giving way to a haunting sense of foreboding. Emeka and Bayo exchange a determined look, knowing that the secrets of Agbara's and Agbede's past, symbolized by the memories of cockroach infestations and Boba's atrocities, are still festering beneath Agbodo's shiny surface. A sense of unease ripples through the crowd as flashbacks of past horrors fill their minds. Is it really over? With a silent but steely resolve, King Bayo and Emeka understand that this challenge is only beginning. They will have to face the hidden shadows and reckon with the full weight of their family's legacy.